Hey everyone, this will be the third and last video in my series about recommendations. So this one will cover characters, and I see a lot of questions asked about who should I be leveling. Should I be leveling Paladin Cecil or Dark Knight Cecil? What characters should I prioritize and stuff like that. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the characters that we have access to now and ones that I recommend you prioritize and kind of the reasons behind that. But let me just preface this video by saying that what you draw in your relics will have a big impact on the advice that I give. So the advice that I'm giving is assuming all things are equal, so that everybody has relatively equal gear, stuff like that. Because of course, if you draw Sephiroth's Manamune, you'll use him in pretty much every dungeon. So this is just in general and kind of over time. So please, bear that in mind when you take this advice into consideration. So, starting with characters that I don't recommend and that I have no intention of leveling significantly is Tifa and the core characters, so the black mage and the white mage and that kind of stuff. The core characters, they just have really bad stats and they don't compare at all to the world characters and stuff like that. And they're not very useful. There's not core world events other than some dailies, but the dailies will pretty much change over to all Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IV, those kind of realms anyway. So the only reason why I have them leveled is because I wanted their record materia. So I wouldn't even bother leveling them until their record materia comes out, because some of it is useful, some of the record materia, and some later quests will require you use a black mage or a white mage or something like that. So when that time comes, worry about leveling them then. But a lot of people are saying, well, I want all my characters to be 30, and that's fine. Everybody should do what they want to do to enjoy the game. But if it was me, I would leave them at 1. I wouldn't level them any more than I have to. And Tifa, she's weaker than Cloud and Sephiroth, and some people have argued, well, she's very fast though, and that's an advantage. But at higher levels, I haven't noticed a significant difference between, Tidus' speed and Sephiroth's speed, stuff like that. So I think the speed stat affects the game. I mean, I think it's factored into the flow of the game, but it's not a significant stat in the way that defense and offense are. So speed is not really a stat I would worry too much about. So those are the characters that I don't recommend. Ones that my top choices would have to be, of course, Cloud, Sephiroth. I think that's everybody's figured that out by now. And Dark Knight Cecil, for sure. Those are the three bruisers that I'm working on. Tidus, I'm also going to work a bit on because he's a very strong attacker, and he hits about as hard as Cloud does at higher levels. So my level 65 Tidus hits for about the same amount of damage as my level 65 Cloud with a Buster Sword. So he hits really, really hard, and he's very useful in Final Fantasy X dungeons. So not a top priority, but he's definitely up there. Kain and Wakka, I think, are good to invest in as well. Wakka is a very good support character. I prioritize him a lot as a breaker, so I'll put power and magic break on him, or power and armor break or something, and I'll give him a ranged weapon and put him in the back row so he can do decent DPS and kind of absorb some hits from the enemy while not taking a lot of damage. It's kind of nice to have him in the back row because he'll attract some hits, and it saves your team a lot of damage, makes it easier on your healer, stuff like that. Some ranged attackers are actually not too bad. They're kind of nice to have. And then Kain, he's a good overall character. Some of you have used jump on him as a ranged attack. He's good. I use him in Final Fantasy IV dungeons sometimes, not all the time. And then Rydia. Now Rydia is kind of complicated because right now she's very strong. She's got the strongest black magic, other than I think she even has stronger black magic than the black mage. But she has a very small spell pool, and that really hurts her in the future, because you'll get, Eris, who has a very high level white magic pool, who can cast Sloga and these other, and Shelga, and these necessary spells that you'll need for future dungeons. So she can't compete with healers. And then when black mages come along, you get Terra, and you get Vivi, and you get a lot of other very, very strong black mages. You get Tella later. She can't keep up, because she can't cast Fire Aga, she can't cast Fire Aja, and yes, she has her summons, but unless you invest a lot of time farming for her summons and honing them to a very high level, she'll get outperformed by all the other black mages. And not to mention that other characters get summons as well. So Yuna gets a summon, she gets summons, Garnet gets summons. There's other characters in the future that get summons too. So even with her value as a summoner, that kind of goes out the window too. Now, especially if you're trying to do Final Fantasy IV Elite Dungeons, she's really, really great to have now, but I would not expect her to be useful through the coming updates, because you just get too many other good characters to choose from. So she'll get replaced, but she's good to have for now. So I think she's good to invest in the short term, but I wouldn't invest a lot in her long term. And then Tyro. Now Tyro, I think, is a really misunderstood character. There's kind of a lot of people are saying, well, I'm going to replace Tyro with Eris, or I'm not really going to use Tyro because he's not a very strong attacker or something like that. But what people, I think, don't understand, and it's just because they haven't seen it in the late game yet, is how amazingly versatile he is, because he can use everything in the game. And so right now, when everything's about just raw DPSing, auto-attacking through everything, just steamrolling everything, yeah, he doesn't factor into that, because you don't need a strategy. You just, hit auto, use your abilities, and just plow through everything. So I can see why people don't see his usefulness yet, but in later stages, when you need 2 healing abilities on your healer, and you don't want to take along an extra caster, or they have heal and Shelga, but you want Kieran too for all party regen, you can put Tyro in as a bruiser. You can put him in to do, maybe 3/4 of the damage as somebody like Cloud or something like that, but you can put Kieran on him, so you could give him double cut and Kieran, and he can DPS and just keep refreshing the regen on your party. So it's really, really nice, because you can mix and match any abilities you want on him. You can put him in as any role, and he'll do it well. Not, of course, as strong as other people, but it's a really, I think, underestimated strength of his. And then, we get to Paladin Cecil. So if I had to choose one between Dark Knight and Paladin Cecil, it would be Dark Knight Cecil, no competition. And the reason why is Cecil the Dark Knight has much stronger late game potential. He hits hard for a very long time. He's very useful. I still use him. He's one of my core Final Fantasy IV characters. And, Cecil Paladin falls into the same category as Rydia right now. He's very versatile. It's nice to have him as a backup healer, because you can take out, Tyro or somebody and put him in or something like that, or you can use him as a backup, and he can still DPS decently. And, like Tyro and like Rydia, you don't need these complex strategies now, so he's good to have, because he's useful. You can put him in a Final Fantasy IV dungeon, and he'll do well because of the synchro. And I would not discourage anybody from leveling Paladin Cecil right now. I think he has his uses, especially for the Final Fantasy IV Elite dungeons and stuff like that. But my advice would be, once you clear the Final Fantasy IV content that you're aiming to, I wouldn't worry about leveling the Paladin too much. He'll get replaced just like Rydia gets replaced, because he won't be useful as a healer. You won't need 2 healers, and you'll want stronger hitters anyway, and his ability is not that great. So I would recommend, if you want to, go ahead and level both of them up now evenly, but definitely if you only have one spot left in your party, put Dark Knight in there. So that covers my overall thoughts about the characters that we have now. So just kind of as a food for thought, if I could only choose 5 of our current characters to make a party, and those were the only 5 I could use to level to 50, my 5 would be, I would choose Cloud, I would choose Tyro, I would choose Tidus, Dark Knight Cecil, and probably Sephiroth. And the reason for that is they are going to be, and like I said, this is assuming all things equal, that you don't have amazing relics on ones and not others, that they're going to be the most consistent characters for you for a long time. So they won't fall out of favor. They'll be strong even with other characters coming in. They're strong in other worlds that aren't their own. So those would be the 5 that I would choose. And so just kind of as a quick bonus, so I've got everything sorted by attained order. So you can see all the characters in the game. There's quite a few. So I think there's a total of about, how many? 20, about 40, about 60 characters right now. So there'll probably be a few more that come out in the next update. But yeah, this is everything. So I again, it's do whatever you enjoy. If you love a certain character, why not? It's not going to hurt. You can always adjust your strategy. But I get a lot of questions. People really want to maximize their leveling potential, and they don't want to waste time and investing time in characters that won't be useful later. So this is just why I made this video, to kind of give my thoughts and my recommendations about what I think would be a good approach to leveling these characters and prioritizing them. So I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you have anything else that you'd like me to talk about, or any recommendation videos, or any in-depth commentaries, anything you'd like to hear, let me know. I'd love to hear, and I like making these. So if you like listening and kind of talking about them, then by all means let me know, and I'll try to make more. Take care.